Hi guys, we're back. It has been way too long. I hope you guys missed me as much as I missed you. So the last video that I filmed was the ground covers video, and that was done the day after Thanksgiving. It went out the following day, and that morning I woke up with a sinus infection and it lingered for practically 2 weeks. And I'm one that I don't get sick very often, but when I do, it just hangs on, and it hung on for almost 2 weeks. And then after that, we've had some really bad weather, so I haven't had a chance to come out here until today. We've got partly cloudy skies. We're about 45 degrees. There's no wind, and I am going to be doing some late fall cleanup in the winter, basically, because I was planning on doing this a couple days after the ground cover video. And you know, sometimes life just kind of pumps the brakes on you, and you just kind of have to stop and just go with it all. So I have been resting and recovering and going absolutely stir crazy, and I'm so happy to be back out here with you guys. And we've got some late fall cleanup to do in a few of the beds. I'm not 100%, but I'm going to go around and just do some minor cleanup all around, get as much as I can get done without overdoing it today. The crazy thing is that I've only been able to come out here for a few minutes at a time and just kind of monitor everything and make a mental note of things I want to get done once I'm feeling better. But we have had a couple things going on while I've been recovering that I want to share with you before we jump into our project. So first off, the ladder rack that we had over here, the screws that were holding up this side snapped, and so everything came tumbling down, ladders, shepherd's hooks and everything, and it hit my green arrow Alaskan cedar and took out a huge chunk of one of the branches. But fortunately, that's all the damage that we found. The redbud was okay, the buckthorn, the weeping blue spruce, nothing else got damaged, just the green arrow Alaskan cedar. This is the part of the ladder rack that came down, and this is everything that was being supported by the ladder rack that came crashing down, and either a ladder or a shepherd's hook is what hit the green arrow and snapped its branch off. But we also had a delivery of green velvet boxwoods. I think we've got 2 dozen here and another dozen over by the vegetable garden, and this is all for a project in the spring that I'm so looking forward to. Other than that, it's been pretty quiet here, which is good because that was about all the excitement I could have handled. Now I just want to get into our projects for the day and show you what I'd like to get done. We're going to start with this raised bed. This was our pepper patch. This is where we had all of our peppers planted for the season. And as you can see, they're still in the ground. There's still peppers on them, but they've been subjected to below freezing temperatures, so they're all pretty much just spent. They need to be pulled, and this whole bed just needs to be cleaned out. Once we're done with that, we can move on to the 2 beds in the front yard because I'd like to get those cleaned out a little bit too. So in this bed and the one on the other side of the porch, I'm going to focus primarily on perennial cutback. We've got the Cat's Pajamas Nepeta heads to cut back, some Nephophias. There's a vermillionaire in the corner that is an annual that we need to pull. But you'll also notice in this bed, the 3 Pugster periwinkle butterfly bushes are gone. I actually decided to remove them, and so friends came and dug them out because they just got a little too big for being so close to the border, and I didn't want to have to dig up the hydrangeas and move them to the front and then take the butterfly bushes and move them back. So I decided I was going to look for something else to replace the butterfly bushes and let some of my friends just come and take some free plants. So we've got this bed to work on, which there's really not that much to do. And we're doing the same thing in this bed. We're going to cut back the Nephophia, maybe trim up the butterfly bushes a little bit, but they stay semi-evergreen in our area, Maryland Zone 7B. The limelight hydrangeas, I'm just going to leave the blooms, and we'll tackle all of that in the spring. So just a little bit of maintenance all around. I forgot to mention too, we've got some pink profusion salvia over here that we're going to be cutting back as well. If you remember, we had one of the butterfly bushes here, and it got so big that it was shading out the salvia. So the salvia was stretching and trying to get more sunlight, and in doing so, I think it kind of took out one of the nepetas. So I've got an extra one over here. Once we get everything cut back, I'll take a look and see if we lost one. I think we did. I just can't tell because it's under this whole mat of perennial foliage. And I like to try and stay ahead of the game as far as maintenance and cleanup goes, whether it's in the spring or the fall. But sometimes things in life happen and we can't get to them when we want to. So we get to them whenever we have a few minutes of time, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to start in the back and work our way to the front. Here we go. And this is all that I'm going to use today. I've got my Felco nippers, my pruners, a new pair of Felco gloves, and our little trash can receptacle. And I also want to show you real quick. This is the branch that got snapped. It's like its own little tree. Okay, so for the perennial cutback for the Nepeta, this is what I'm going to do to all of them. I'm just going to grab the entire bunch like a ponytail and just cut it about an inch or two to the ground. And that's what we're going to be left with. And we're going to do the same thing with the Nephofia. We're just going to cut it all the way back down because you can see all of these underneath pieces are getting kind of like black and mushy and slimy. So we're just going to take them all off. You can see they're so wet and gummy underneath. They're clogging my nippers. Oh, look at that. I'm just trying to cut them. They just kind of get stuck. All right, let's go. One giant ponytail. All right, guys, I got everything that I wanted to get done today done. Let me take you around and show you how it all looks. All right, guys, let's start in this bed because this is the bed I did the least amount of work in. All I did was come in and cut back a Nephofia, a pink profusion salvia, and just left everything else as is because this will all make for beautiful winter interest. We've got our limelight hydrangeas, buddleias, mophead false cypress, Allura petalum, another buddleia, and our boxwood hedge. And hiding in the back, a dwarf Alberta spruce and our sky pencil holly. And coming over to this bed, we pretty much did the same thing, just on a larger scale. We removed the vermilionaire, we cut back all of the cat's pajamas nepeta, and the Nephofia over here, and the 3 Nephofia right over here. Everything else we pretty much just left for our winter interest. And I want to show you guys this because it looks so good right now. This is the Scentlandia Sweet Spire. Look at that. In its fall color in December. Beautiful. I've got 3 of them here and they are gorgeous. They start out with like this gold yellow and they fade to just all these different deep shades of red and purple and burgundy. So pretty. And it looks so good with the blue spruce. I love that. But anyways, so this whole bed is done too, and I just feel like I can breathe again because everything is just nice and clean. And things like Nephofia and ornamental grasses, even the nepeta when it gets too long and it just kind of flops over, all of these things are what I primarily wanted to focus on and get them off the ground. Because as you saw with the Nephofia, you know, when they flop over, they just keep so much moisture underneath. They get slimy and they're just a breeding ground for pests and diseases. So I wanted to get all of this just cleaned up before we get into our crazy winter weather, because we are supposed to get down to 11 degrees this weekend. So I'm just glad that we got all this done and it just looks so much nicer. And I didn't have to replace any of the nepeta, so I've got an extra one for next spring. Now let's go over to our raised bed. And doesn't that just look so much nicer? All of those scraggly dead pepper plants gone, all the stakes and the netting, everything is gone. And I didn't bother too much about removing all the roots in here because they'll decompose. And I left some of the leaves in here and just mixed it all in. And this way it'll just kind of compost and break down over the winter. And you guys, that's it for today's video. So glad to be able to get out here and get a few things done. Super excited to be back with all of you, sharing everything. I still have some work to do on the green stalk before we get into our deep freeze, but I'll save that for another time. And we've got lots of work to do in the grow room this winter. So It'll be exciting. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.